I know that Alito in his brief said that abortion was unique from other rulings that dealt with privacy. Do you think that they're also going to go back on those implied rights, for example, contraception or gay marriage or whatever?
Yeah, sure. They hate gay people and women. Why not?
Do you
And
think there's
sex.
like a legal argument for that?
I don't really believe in like the concept of legal interpretations of the Constitution. It's no coincidence that conservative judge appointees rule in favor of conservative political positions. Or, for instance, that Roe v. Wade has stood strong for 50 years, and then right when conservatives are ramping up their anti LGBT rhetoric and like trying to consolidate power on a state level, then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, actually, Roe v. Wade's like unconstitutional or whatever. I don't really believe in it, you know. There are some issues that are pretty clear and cut, you know. I mean, if you're like housing troops quartered in your home or some shit, you know, you what is that, the Fourth Amendment? You know, there's obvious stuff, but in terms of like whether or not there's a legal argument, well, depending on how you twist the arm, there's always a legal argument. It wasn't a necessary one to make.
The legal argument made in Alito's ruling, I'm not convinced would apply to gay marriage or other rights because he does reasons why he believes that it's, specifically unique from those rights. Ruth Bader Ginsburg criticized Roe v. Wade, very, very heavily. She publicly said that it wasn't done well and that she wished that it was argued in a different way because the way that they argued it wasn't very strong. But ultimately, she fell on the side of stare decisis and maintaining the courts. So I do think that when you see the court go back on something, whatever that policy is, it does indicate a willingness to question stare decisis and previous rulings. But I think it's maybe a little bit catastrophizing to say that they're going to go back on these other rights just because in the
People
Alito
said that
ruling, they didn't
about
provide the logic for it.
people said that about whether or not they go back in Roe v. Wade. The Republican Party is openly anti-gay. I'm pretty sure every single state Republican Party, all of them, are anti-gay marriage and have revoking the legality of gay marriage as part of their state proposals, and that it's broadly held at basically every federal like official. Also, didn't he literally like name Obergefell versus Hodges, or like there was something about that in the case that they were looking at? Like he said it would fall under the same criticism or something. Like there's no reason to believe they wouldn't just get rid of gay marriage. Like they're literally screaming it at the top of their lungs.
So he does bring up a lot of these other cases that dealt with privacy. And there's a question about like what rights that weren't explicitly enumerated in the Constitution can be implied or inferred from the amendments. And I believe Alito's argument is that these implied rights to privacy are one layer of abstraction away from the amendments, but abortion deals with something unique, which is potential life, which these other rulings didn't deal with. And so the question of potential life is really what makes Roe v. Wade unique from those other rulings. Now, I think that if you're going to argue that other rulings will be gone back on, Alito would have to come up with another reasoning for why that happens, or whoever writes the majority opinion would have to
They could
come
do
up with
that.
a reason.
Well,
Okay.
sure, they can just do that then. Yeah. I don't really care what they're like. They can come up with any legal justification they want. The Supreme Court has made stupid rulings all the time. There's a whole podcast on it. Like some of these rulings are just blatant shows of partisan, like political maneuvering. In fact, I would say that's what most of them are in most cases. But it's a 6-3 court, you know. Of course, they're going to achieve conservative goals. There's no reason to believe they won't. They'll probably go quite a bit farther than gay marriage as well.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I guess we'll see because like I don't think that the ruling, the logic within the Alito opinion supports going back on gay marriage, but it's possible that they come up with another reason that we just haven't seen in this specific draft. So yeah, and maybe that's possible.
I mean, the Obersfeld was only 5v4. I mean, that was back like they just 7 years ago. They only passed marriage equality with a one vote lead, so they would just probably go with whatever the dissenting opinion was from that ruling and just be like, "Oh yeah, well this was correct. Good luck." Yeah, it'll be fun.
I do think it's a little bit scary that they're going back on something with such strong precedent for it because it does imply that like the court is going to become more political if it's willing to question these previous rulings. So as far as like stare decisis goes, I do think that it's like maybe the strongest reason why you should maybe be a little bit concerned about this specific ruling.
The revocation of Roe v. Wade is a tragedy in and of itself. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Alito has explicitly stated he believes same-sex marriage should be left up to the states in the past. Yeah, it was Clarence Thomas and Alito. So at the very least, they have that support. They're at the end of the day, they're stooges of the Republican Party, as are all members of the Republican Party. Everyone falls in line when they need to. They'll do what they're told, and if it's politically expedient to get rid of gay marriage, they'll do that too. They have the power to.
I guess we'll definitely see. Worker productivity. Did you get a very long message from a different trans girl explaining worker productivity? Because one of my friends said that she was like messaging you about it.
I don't know if I can distinguish by trans girl because basically everyone in my community is one, but I did get a very long message on worker productivity, yes.
Okay, yeah. I argued with her a little bit about that, going back and forth. I think that